So it's been a week since the chaos of the Estadio Delusion, all of the chaos that followed it as well. There's been investigations opened up, rulings made, bans that are basically repeating history, appeals, all sorts. So guys, this will be an update for you where we'll go over everything that's happened so far, clear up some confusion, clear up some misconceptions, such as the young fella, Rodrigo, and the attention that received on Benfica socials, Prestianni's ban for the second leg and why it isn't a controversy, etc, etc. I'll go in a loose chronological order, grouping certain things together that didn't happen at the same time when it makes sense to do so. So, starting with a couple of days after it all, we heard initial reports that Pristiani allegedly said that he called Vinicius hermano, brother, not mono, monkey. Okay? Then, shortly after, it was announced that UEFA would open an investigation into the matter for potential disciplinary treatment. Real Madrid made a comunicado oficial where they said the following. Real Madrid CF announces that today it has submitted all available evidence to UEFA regarding the incidents that occurred last Tuesday, February 17th, during the Champions League match our team played in Lisbon against SL Benfica. Our club has actively collaborated with the investigation opened by UEFA following the unacceptable episodes of racism experienced during that match. Now, what that evidence actually isn't known to us. I assume it would be statements from the players who were around when the alleged racism happened. Maybe they had someone filming on the sidelines for club media who picked up something. Who knows? I have no idea. Shortly after that, it was said that Prestiani had given his version of events to UEFA and said that he actually called Vinicius Jr. a homophobic slur instead, the Spanish equivalent of the F slur in English. The interesting thing is that a quote from Tchouaméni corroborates this, and I say it's interesting not because it proves whether or not he used racist language, but there is precedence, as after the match, Tchouaméni said, quote, "We were told Prestiani called Vinicius a monkey. Prestiani denied it to us. He said he called Vinny a F slur instead." Again, whether Prestiani said mono or the homophobic slur is unknown to us at this time. All we know is that he allegedly admitted to UEFA that he used the homophobic word instead of the racist one. So does that mean he won't get banned? Hell no, that's still absolutely a bannable offense in UEFA's and any self-respecting organization's eyes. In fact, homophobia is considered on the same level as racism by UEFA, which provides an interesting question of why a lot of people in the world are seeing this and saying, "Oh, he said that? Oh, well, okay, that's not that bad then." Weird to me, but anyway, here's what UEFA says in Article 14 of the UEFA disciplinary regulations. Any entity or person subject to these regulations who insults the human dignity of a person or group of persons on whatever grounds, including skin color, race, religion, ethnic origin, gender, or sexual orientation, incurs a suspension lasting at least 10 matches or a specified period of time or any other appropriate sanction. So there you have it. When it comes to whether or not Prestiani will receive a ban, it looks as if he absolutely will, if these stories of his admission are indeed correct. The question that remains, what did he say? Which kind of discriminatory language did he choose to use? And if he will get more than 10 matches for doing so. We'll revisit Article 14 from UEFA's disciplinary regulations again in a moment, but first, Benfica has indeed begun looking into the pair of idiots in the... I shouldn't just call them idiots. Benfica has begun looking into the racist idiots in the stadium who were making monkey gestures and noises towards Vinicius Jr. No announcement on what their punishment will be, but of course, they weren't the only ones making monkey noises at the Real Madrid players during that match. It was happening a lot in the stadium. We've all seen the videos, right? Now, I bring this up because something that I find has been a bit underreported is if Benfica, the club itself, is at risk of any kind of fine, stadium ban, or other punishment, because in Article 14, it also says the following. If one or more of a member association or club supporters engage in the behavior described in paragraph 1, the member association or club responsible incurs a minimum of a fine and either a partial stadium closure or a ban from selling tickets to its away supporters. If the circumstances of the case require it, the the competent disciplinary body may impose any other additional appropriate disciplinary measures on the member association or club responsible, such as the playing of one or more matches behind closed doors, a stadium closure, the forfeiting of a match, the deduction of points and/or disqualification from the competition. It just says if one or more are found to be doing something, then there could be a punishment. So we'll see if Benfica get away with that one. Man, I can't even believe the words that I'm saying right now. Like, I cannot believe that this is my club that I'm talking about. I have never, ever felt more disconnected from Benfica than right now. Just kind of disgusted with how things have played out. I still watch. I still want Benfica to win above anyone else, but it just feels weird. Anyway, we've seen the social media posts from Benfica in the immediate aftermath and how the club or the world is reacting to the club, labeling it racist, etc. Benfica's name being dragged through the mud, and it's self-imposed dragging as well, as I went over my initial reaction to all of this in that YouTube short I shared with you guys, or maybe you saw it on Instagram or TikTok, whatever. Having recognized how much this has hurt Benfica's reputation, and the strain it has put on his teammates as well, according to sources in Portugal, Prestiani actually apologized to the entire squad for his actions, which is another interesting twist. Both Record and A Bola reported on it, and of course, it could have been just a general, I'm sorry that my actions have led to added pressure and scrutiny on the team at a difficult time, and less of an admission of anything, right? That's the more likely scenario.
Não quero comentar.
Now, speaking of added pressure, we have heard very little from Mourinho, who was at the center of a lot of criticism in how he handled the situation. The things he said to diminish Vinicius Jr.'s word, to paint him as a liar or a boy who cries wolf, when that simply isn't the case, as we know, and so on. Following that match against Real Madrid, it was announced that Mourinho would not take a pre-match press conference that was open to the media prior to Benfica's match from this past Saturday. Instead, he would only speak to Benfica TV. Now, as a Benfica supporter, I know that this isn't exactly out of the ordinary. Mourinho has done this many times this season with Liga matches because there is no obligation for him to appear in front of the national and international media as other leagues have. So he has done this before where he only speaks to the club's official TV channel. However, this would have been a great time to clear the air, maybe explain what he really meant with those comments after the Real Madrid match, etc. One of the things he spoke of was how, quote, "It hasn't been easy to manage emotionally everything that has happened and continues to happen." He also just looks like sad, tired. Same with after the match, as he did, however, need to speak to the media following Benfica's 3-0 win, and he did so, answering various things about the match and the squad. One thing he did not answer was anything to do with Real Madrid, Prestiani, and Vinicius Jr. At one point, a question came in from Sport TV, a huge channel in Portugal, asking the following. Quote, "Your statements after the game with Real were the target of many criticisms by important people in football. Do you feel that these criticisms had some impact on you? Do you feel that you made a mistake and admit that you made a mistake in the words you used, or if you devalued Vinicius's fight against racism? Do you feel that these criticisms have a foundation or not?" And to this, Mourinho answered, quote, "I don't want to comment." Then Benfica's press officer jumped in to say, quote, "I understand the curiosity, but there is an investigation of UEFA to take place, and therefore Mr. Jose Mourinho is not available to answer the question on that subject and to make more comments." I mean, Alvaro Arbeloa was able to speak on the subject, and Real Madrid are involved in this investigation as well. I'm sure you saw what he had to say, but I can see why the club, Benfica that is, don't want him to speak any further on this. You can't control what he'll say, and the last time he spoke of Vinicius and racism, it made things worse. So what about the match tomorrow against Real Madrid? Will Mourinho speak to the media there? There is an obligation for a coach from each club to speak to the media prior to a match, right? However, Mourinho was suspended for this leg in Madrid, and so he and the club decided to exercise their right to have him not speak to the media and to instead send his assistant coach, who hasn't spoken yet as of the time of recording this. So yes, it's within his rights as he is suspended, but also yes, suspended coaches have spoken to the media still, and also yes, it's another situation where Benfica are choosing to stay silent, to keep Mourinho away from the media at a time when everyone wants to question him after last week's comments. So Benfica will be without Mourinho on the touchline and without Prestianni in the playing squad as well. As of 48 hours ago, Prestianni was still eligible to play for Benfica in the return leg, and allegedly, according to some reports, he was ready to take on Real Madrid and the inevitably hostile reception he would receive at the Bernabeu. But he has indeed been suspended for this second leg of the matchup. Here's what UEFA's statement read. Following the appointment of a UEFA Ethics and Disciplinary Inspector, EDI, to investigate allegations of discriminatory behavior during the UEFA Champions League 25-26 knockout playoff match between SL Benfica and Real Madrid CF on 17th of February 2026, and upon the request of the EDI with an interim report, the UEFA Control Ethics and Disciplinary Body, CEDB, today decided to provisionally suspend Mr. Gianluca Prestianni for the next UEFA club competition match for which he would otherwise be eligible for the prima facie violation of Article 14 of the UEFA Disciplinary Regulations, DR, related to a discriminatory behavior. Now, the key here is the prima facie aspect, which the Legal Information Institute of Cornell Law School says is the following. I'm assuming because it's Latin, it's prima facie, but I don't know. But anyway, prima facie is used in court to indicate that there is sufficient or adequate evidence to support a claim. More simply put, a prima facie case means that the claim being presented to a court has merit when taken at face value. So they see merit in the case against Prestiani. They see evidence or potential evidence of wrongdoing by him, and so he is provisionally suspended. I saw a lot of Benfica supporters and rivals to Real Madrid up in arms about this, saying that this is only happening because it's Real Madrid, etc. But you just need to go back to 2021 to see another carbon copy example.
Initially, I don't think it was a foul for me.
Kamara has to be careful, he's been booked first half.
So what you just saw was Kamara, a Rangers player back in 2021, accusing Slavia Praha defender Andrei Kudela of calling him a, quote, monkey. You can see the immediate reaction going to the referee, but similarly to the Prestiani case, Kudela covered his mouth and you can't hear or see what he said. Well, what did UEFA do while investigating? They dropped this statement, which you can pause it so you can see is incredibly similar to the Prestiani statement, prima facie and all, as the investigation was still ongoing. Kudela was banned, then found guilty, then had his appeal thrown out, and he intended on taking it to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but then ended up apologizing and admitting his mistake instead. So this isn't some landmark decision on Prestiani being suspended for the second leg. It's the same as Kudela's suspension. And that's where we're at. Oh, right, there's one more thing. As I have seen many people who aren't familiar with what's happening in the news of Portugal, jump all over this post from Benfica. And you guys can see, I do not agree with my club on a lot of things, but this young boy first became famous in Portugal for saving his mother's life in early February. It was revealed that he's a Benfica supporter, so he was invited onto Benfica FM and subsequently invited to be one of the mascots in Benfica's next home match in the league, which fell on this past weekend. In between all of that, the Prestiani situation happened, so it's just unfortunate timing that now this child's dream experience, going on the pitch, meeting the entire Benfica squad and coaching staff, watching a match at the Estadio de Luz, is being interpreted or misinterpreted as him being some puppet that Benfica have rolled out to prove that they aren't racist. That's not what happened at all, and sure, I can understand why people would think that. Believe me, I do, as Benfica handled everything else poorly, constantly bringing up Eusebio as a proof that they're not racist, but it's just simply not the case. These things exist in separate worlds. Let the kid enjoy his dream without it being devalued and delegitimized. All right, that's it for real this time. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. It was helpful for me to sort of organize everything in my brain here. Beyond that, I will see you in the next video. Take care.